Right, guys, it's been a while. I've been really busy, so I've apologise. I've not put much up. But yeah, I just wanted to do this short video because it's something that I've been kind of going over with quite a few clients over the last few weeks. It's been quite helpful for quite a lot of people. So I thought it's quite an easy concept as well. So I think in order to understand it, it kind of, if you think about sort of wherever you go in the world, really, go some remote island off the coast of Fiji, you can go to the Philippines, you can go to America, you can go to Europe. Everywhere you go, they have some form of religion, right? There's some sort of culture or religion that people follow. And that could be for various reasons. I watched a TED talk with a guy called Robert Sapolsky who was talking about this, and he said he thinks of it as it's like Mother Nature's antidepressant, which I quite like the idea of that. But it's kind of, really so that people have got something to have hope, something that gives them hope, something to have faith in, or something to blame if things go wrong. It's a force that's outside of yourself. That's kind of it's like a deity that you kind of look up to or sort of follow in order to feel as though there's a guiding light, there's a hand to lead you, or a hand to hold you, or whatever, right? Or someone to sort of a scapegoat, to blame everything on, sort of thing. So I've got no problem with religion. I'm not a religious man myself, but I've got no problem with people that are. But I just find it a really interesting concept. And one of the reasons for that being is because I feel that a lot of religions now are just outdated. Like if you look at the Bible, the Quran, any kind of any holy book that's been written a long time ago doesn't fit in now with society as the way it is now. Do you know what I mean? Like when the Bible was written, there was no internet. The world hadn't changed in the way it's changed now. So you've got people that follow these religions that really need updating. Now, the way that I kind of like to sort of bring this into the work that I do with clients is to understand that you may well have all these years leading up to now been following a religion that is outdated and is something that you don't really need to be following anymore, and you're not even aware that you're following the religion. I see so many people that tell me that they feel like crap because someone said this or someone said that. And then when you kind of date it back, it's because my mum used to say that to me or my dad used to say that to me, and stuff like that. So you've got to understand, as you're growing up, the kind of religion that you follow is going to be the way your parents treat you and the way that you're raised by them and the environment that you're in at the time, and they're the deity. And when you think about it, it's kind of, you just got to be careful what you worship and who you worship, because I get people that speak to me about these things in an adult scenario, like in a counselling session, adult to adult, and they will literally say to me, well, my mum said this, so I felt like I had to do that. It's like, so this person is like a deity that kind of overrules everything else. And that's the problem with the sort of the concept, if you like, of following that religion. You're following the religion of your parents when you're an adult, and you may not feel like that's what you actually should be doing. That's, it's part of the reason for the difficulties that you're having in your life is because you're trying to follow something that you don't believe in anymore, and it's tearing you apart. And it's a really bad thing to do, but I don't really think a lot of people realise they're doing it. So when I kind of point it out to somebody and say, well, why has that opinion got to matter so much? But it's because as you're growing up, you do need that person to guide you. You do need that hand to lead you. You need the hand to feed you even. So it's very, very important. But it doesn't mean that you can't update that strategy as you get older, which a lot of people don't do. So you end up getting stuck in this kind of mould that somebody else has put you in, and you forget who you really are because maybe you never really learn. And that's why you're trying to learn now, So try to sort of watch how often in your life you're doing that. How often are you living by rules that aren't yours? How often do you feel uncomfortable because you're going against the grain that you feel? How often do you feel like you've done the wrong thing because you've done what somebody else or what you think somebody else wants you to do and not what you want to do yourself? Because you may well have these rules and regulations that you're living by that have kind of been imprinted and passed down to you from somebody else, and no longer does it work. It's no longer something that makes any sense. And that person may not know any more about the world than you do at this point. You know, like if you think about it, if your parents got caught burgling a house and you got caught burgling a house, if you're over 18, you're going to get the same sentence. You're classed as the same person. You're both adults. Doesn't matter. There's no differentiation between you. And this is the thing, because you kind of, I teach this to young people a lot, because, you know, you want to get yourself into a position where you can be top of the hierarchy and you don't have to rely on anybody being above you. That's such an important thing to do. And if you've got like the right amount of agency and personal agency, you can do that. You don't feel like you need to have somebody there to rely on. But obviously when you've got a hierarchy in your family and you've got that deity above you that kind of always is there to look out for you, maybe they're taking away the possibility for you to grow and learn and make mistakes for yourself, because they do everything for you and they're the hand that steps in the way and stops you from falling over. Bad idea, you know? So, yeah, sometimes it's about kind of learning how to be independent within that and realising that, as I say, you know, it's Mother Nature's antidepressant, as I was saying at the beginning, you know, and it's kind of our way of thinking, okay, look, if somebody else has told me to do it, then that's okay. But when it goes wrong and then you've done it because somebody else told you to do it, like, good luck with that, because you can't really take responsibility for it. What you've got to take responsibility for is the fact that you didn't take responsibility for the fucking decision in the first place, which is obviously going to make things worse for you. So it's really something to think about, you know. Don't get bogged down by somebody else's rules, somebody else's religion that you followed for all these years without even knowing that you were doing it and didn't even really have a choice in the matter, you know. And honestly, I've said this to clients and I've almost watched their, I mean, this is another thing I should say, I guess. You know, sometimes it's almost like their world is crumbling apart because they're just like, Jesus. But it's like, mate, this is not a bad thing to realise. You know, okay, yeah, you can't go back and change the fact that you've kind of followed this for such a long time, but you certainly can stop now. And if you didn't realise this at this point, then maybe you would have carried on doing this for another, like, 26 years or however old you are, you know, like, and that's the thing. It's a very good thing to realise, and it's a very good thing to stop. Now, I know like a lot of people say, well, what do I fill it with? What do I fill it with? And all that. But the first thing to do is to realise that you're doing it now. Because a lot of the time when you've got this, if you think about this deity being negative, if you think about it as a critical voice that's been in your head all the time, you're going to disregard all the evidence and everything that goes against that voice. So when somebody says to you, well, maybe you should think about this like in a different way, you know, maybe that's a positive thing that you've just done, not a negative thing. They'll be like, no, because they're following that religion. They're following what that person has told them. So you try, it's like I said to you before, you know, you try persuading a Catholic that God is not real. You know, it's just not going to happen. You try like converting a Muslim to the Christian faith in a day, not going to happen. You know what I mean? The people have these faiths and beliefs that are so strong, there's no getting them out of it. There's even people that believe the earth's flat and that COVID doesn't exist at all. You know? I mean, so this sort of thing it can really get you, and it can really kind of cause you to sort of dip away from reality and come into, you know, a different, I suppose, a different form of reality that doesn't align with the real picture. And then you're going to fight against it. So when somebody tries to give you some opposite advice or to suggest that you think about it in another way, to you that is going to be like a Muslim trying to become Catholic in a day. It's not going to happen. You've got to work on it. But in order to do that, first of all, you've got to realise that actually maybe the religion that I've got at the moment isn't necessarily the one I want. I've got an out-of-date book. It doesn't work for me anymore. And the deity that I'm praying to or following doesn't have a fucking clue any more than I do. So why should I bother? Well, maybe I'd be better off if I steer my own ship instead of letting somebody else steer it for me, or instead of waiting for someone else to come along and take control of it. You know, majorly important. And this sort of concept, I know it's simple, I didn't think I'd be going on this long actually, but it does make a big difference for people. You know, it really does. I've seen some massive results from this, if you think about it like this, because it does teach you that, you know, you don't, why are you following that? Like, and then after that, you can then work on what you want to do about it. Like, how do you want to go from there? What do you want to do instead? Like, what do you think is a better sort of book to follow? Because that's the good thing then, man. You can write your own book. You don't have to follow somebody else's book that may be completely wrong for you. You know? So, yeah, give that a go. Before I go, actually, one other thing. I was listening to a John Bradshaw video earlier. There was something in this video that I loved, and I've been listening to it quite a lot recently. And I just wanted to share it on one of these because I know not everybody's going to have seen that. And he talks about how, you know, obviously as people we need to be looking after each other. And he said that he was telling a story that someone else had told him where he said it's like we're all of us are in a spaceship and we're heading for an asteroid and the spaceship's going to blow up, right? We're all finite. So he's like, so when we're on that spaceship, why are we not singing songs to each other? Why are we not looking after each other? Why are we not making that journey as pleasant as we possibly can? You know? And it makes me think, I try and think of that every morning when I get up at the moment. It's a bit of a thing for me. It's probably why I ended up putting it at the end of this video. But I love the concept of that. I think, you know, you have got to realise that we've got to look after each other. Like, especially at the moment with all this that's going on and everything, you know, COVID and whatnot is, you know, it's a bit shit for a lot of us. You know, reach out to your people, you know, and make sure they're all right. All right? See you later.